My former best friend went insane after I gave her a much-needed brutal reality check. She tried to ruin my wedding and get me fired, so I exposed her in a way that ruined her whole life. Growing up, my best friend was way richer than I was, but I actually liked it that way. When Rachel got designer clothing for Christmas and flaunted it in my face, whilst my only gift was my mother's hand-me-downs, I was happy for her. I was also happy for her at our elementary school graduation. Her parents took her to Disneyland, where she sent me photos joking that I probably wish I was her. All my parents could afford for mine was frozen pizza. When she found out, she laughed at me and called me poor, and I laughed alongside her because I knew that in the long run, how she treated me right now because I was poor would only benefit me. And I was right. I graduated high school with a full academic scholarship because I realized studying was my only way out. Rachel, on the other hand, dropped out in sophomore year because she thought she could coast through life on family money. We actually stopped talking right around this time. She said maturing has made her realize she's too good to be friends with peasants like me, and as sad as I was, I matched her energy. I still texted her once or twice a year, wishing her Merry Christmas or a Happy Birthday though. I knew she had no friends, and that a simple text probably meant a lot to her. But other than that, we didn't talk. All I knew was that she was fully reliant on her parents and was trying to make it as an influencer. Honestly, I thought I'd never see her again. Until one day when I was 28. I just graduated med school, bought a small apartment, and recently gotten engaged. That's when I got the random urge to contact her. I think I just wanted her to see me and be proud of me. I thought she would be. But instead, I got the biggest slap to the face of my life. I showed up to the cafe with an invitation to a ball me and my fiancé were going to, and a cheap but very pretty necklace for her. I actually wanted to reconnect, but then I saw her, and I almost gasped. She was trying to hide how old she looked with a pound of makeup, and was wearing a designer outfit with the tag still on. To my surprise, she actually hugged me and smiled. I hugged her back, but kept my guard up. We exchanged pleasantries, but as soon as the waiter took our orders, her mask fell apart. She snapped her fingers at him like he was a dog. We began catching up, and I quickly found out she just got cut off by her friend group over a joke she made. She refused to say what the joke was though. Either way, I saw this as my chance to invite her to the ball. Rachel, I said, Paul and I are going to the ball. Do you want to come? Oh, I'm a doctor going to a ball with a man who's probably cheating. She cut me off. I just stared at her and saw the resentment in her eyes. It had been 12 years. No way was she still like this. I tried to talk again, but when I did, she did the same thing. Except now she threw insults, calling me lab rat, and my fiancé, who she's never met, a low life. I was taken aback, and for the first time in my life, I fully saw just how pathetic and insane Rachel was. I gave up on the invitation and took out the necklace and gave it to her. But instead of thanking me or even trying it on, she took it too far. Wow, this looks like something your hobo parents found in my dad's dumpster and gave to you as a present. My jaw dropped. My body filled with so much rage, I felt my face turning red. I looked at her dead in the eye, my hands twitching with anger. In response, she looked up, except instead of making eye contact, her head started darting around and avoiding me, almost as if she was terrified of what I was about to do. It took every part of me not to stand up and use my 3 years of kickboxing on her. Instead, I did something even better. I simply kept staring at her and began taunting her deepest insecurities. Hey Rachel, I said, my voice low. How old were you when your dad kicked you out? She went red. Remember how it felt when you realized you were nothing without him? She started to tear up. I know you, Rachel. You wake up every morning in tears, wishing your dad would keep giving you money, wishing every man you dated didn't leave, wishing you didn't look so old, wishing you aren't going to die alone in a crappy condo you rent in a part of town you're too scared to walk outside in. She was fully crying by this point, her mascara streaming, but I didn't care. I even took out the ball invite and slid it across the table, telling her this was her final chance. With that, I walked out. Later that same night, I told Mark about the disaster coffee meeting. He listened sympathetically, but warned me about letting toxic people back into my life. Some relationships aren't worth salvaging, he said. I nodded, thinking that was the end of it. Rachel probably wouldn't contact me again after what I said. 2 days later, my phone pinged with a message from Rachel. It was a lengthy apology for her behavior at the cafe. She claimed she'd been going through a tough time and had taken it out on me unfairly. The message ended with her accepting my invitation to the charity ball. I showed Mark the message, still unsure. What do you think? I asked. He frowned at my phone. People don't change overnight, but it's your call. After thinking about it, I decided to give Rachel one last chance. I responded that we could start fresh, but I needed her to respect boundaries. No more insulting comments about my life or my family. She agreed immediately. The night of the charity ball arrived. I was nervous about seeing Rachel again, but also hopeful that maybe she was genuinely sorry. Mark and I arrived early since I was on the organizing committee. The venue looked stunning. The historical art museum downtown had been transformed with elegant lighting and floral arrangements. When Rachel walked in an hour later, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked absolutely gorgeous in a deep blue gown that probably cost more than my monthly rent. But more importantly, her demeanor was completely different. She was smiling warmly, thanking the staff, and behaving like a normal, polite human being. Your dress is beautiful, she said, approaching us. And this must be Mark. I've heard so much about you. Mark gave me a surprised look, but shook her hand politely. Throughout dinner, Rachel was pleasant company, asking thoughtful questions about Mark's work and complimenting my engagement ring. I started to think maybe she really had reflected on her behavior and wanted to change. Then I went to the restroom and overheard something that made my blood run cold. Rachel was talking to one of the hospital board members, a woman I worked with closely. Yes, I've known her since childhood, Rachel was saying. I actually mentored her through medical school. She was struggling with some of the advanced concepts, but I've always had a knack for medicine. I'm a surgeon at Memorial now. I stood frozen by the sinks. Rachel wasn't a doctor. She had never even finished high school as far as I knew. She was outright lying about me and herself to my colleagues. I waited until the board member left and confronted Rachel. What are you doing? You're not a doctor, and you certainly never mentored me. Rachel's face fell for a second before she recovered. I was just trying to fit in with your fancy doctor friends. They all seem so impressed by credentials. By lying about me, about yourself. These are my colleagues, Rachel. My reputation matters here. She started crying, which immediately made me feel like the bad guy, even though she was clearly in the wrong. I just wanted to feel important for once. She sobbed. Everyone here is so accomplished, and I'm not. Against my better judgment, I softened. Let's just get some air, I suggested, not wanting to make a scene. I'll grab us some drinks and meet you on the terrace. I went to the bar to get us some water, needing a minute to process what had just happened. When I returned to find Rachel, I spotted her surrounded by a group of my university colleagues. They were looking at her phone and then glancing at me with strange expressions. As I approached, I caught a glimpse of what they were looking at. Photos of me, embarrassing childhood photos I didn't even know still existed. Rachel was in the middle of a story about how I had wet the bed at a sleepover when I was